Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. We're really sad to report here today another great loss in the rock and roll community. We have lost the great singer of Nazareth, William Daniel McCafferty, otherwise known as Dan McCafferty. Lead singer of Nazareth, born October 14th, 1946, leaves us today, November 8th, 2022, at the age of 76. Of course, Dan, the member of Nazareth from the late 60s, all the way up until, maybe a decade or so ago, maybe not quite a decade or so ago. He actually retired from the Scottish hard rock legends as he was dealing with really bad case of COPD, okay, which really permitted him from being able to tour anymore with the band. He still could record, but he decided to step away from Nazareth after their 2014 release. Rock and Roll Telephone, I actually got to see them live on that tour in New York City, and they actually had to cut the show short a bit because he was having problems breathing on stage. He had like an oxygen machine off stage, and he went off for a bit, came back, finished the show. But it was a tough go for him there for a while, and so obviously he stepped away from the band and done a solo album in more recent years, but he leaves us today kind of suddenly. Not really sure exactly whether his death had to do with his COPD, which he's been struggling with quite a bit. I think he had other issues going on as well. So Dan McCafferty, one of the all-time greats, and I brought out some CDs here just to kind of talk a little bit about the great Dan McCafferty. Of course, one of the most unique vocalists of all time, of course, leather-lunged, gravelly vocalist who had such a unique style. Much later on, we saw guys like Brian Johnson from AC/DC and Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses who had similar type of gravelly singing styles. But, make no mistake about it, the original guy, the OG, was Dan McCafferty from Nazareth. I mean, burst on the scene in the very, very early 70s. In fact, I believe this was 1970 with the first Nazareth album, Nazareth from Scotland, of course, bluesy hard rock. Sometimes they would do more acoustic-based stuff. They also dabbled a little bit in kind of like folky country stuff, but for the most part, big bluesy sledgehammer riffing from Manny Charlton, and that gravelly roar from Dan McCafferty. Of course, the second album, things really started to pick up for them around the Loud and Proud album. Okay, Go Down Fighting, Teenage Nervous Breakdown, their remake of This Flight Tonight. Of course, you got Raz and the Naz, title track, what a great song. Alcatraz, Vigilante Man, Woke Up This Morning, Night Woman, Sold My Soul, good heavy album produced by Roger Glover. Then you've got Rampant, another strong album. But of course, their big breakthrough was Hair of the Dog, obviously. And here, the title track, the lumbering, heavy Miss Misery. All right, of course, their cover of Love Hurts became a huge international hit. Whiskey Drinking Woman, Please Don't Judas Me. A lot of other great albums throughout the 70s. Close Enough for Rock and Roll with the great title track. Of course, Playing the Game. There's Dan in the Red right there. Okay. Expect No Mercy, one of my favorites. Title track is just epic. All right, Gone Dead Train, Revenge is Sweet, Kentucky Fried Blues. Again, bluesy hard rock, and Dan, that just like you think he was like, gargling in glass or something like that. That's that kind of voice he had. But man, so powerful, so earthy. All right, No Mean City, another classic Nazareth album. Of course, as they move into the 80s, get a little bit more poppy, but still really good. He could also be very tender too when he wanted to. He just had a great overall voice. But man, as a heavy rock singer, not many better than him. Malice in Wonderland, of course. And then they came back. They had a lot of in the mid period of Nazareth. Like in the 80s and some of the 90s. A lot of hit or miss albums there. But they came back strong in the 2000s with The News, Big Dogs, and like I mentioned, Rock and Roll Telephone. an enormous catalog. I mean, Dan and the band's just so many albums, so many years. And, he basically was one of those guys who just decided, you know what, health-wise, I probably can't do this anymore. Even though I think his singing was just as strong all the way up to the end, he basically decided to take himself out of the equation and say, you know what, I'll let the guys, if they want to continue on, you got my blessing. I can't do the touring anymore. We know that Nazareth is a touring band. If you really need me to record something for the studio, I could probably do it, but I may just do some solo stuff and just kind of live out my life. So he's been, fairly quiet in recent years, but this one kind of hurts. It's such a great band, and I'm just thankful I got to see them, in recent memory, because I think that was just really cool. And like I said, all the way up to the end there, he was still singing really good, even though probably physically he was having a really tough time with it. But what a distinctive vocalist that I don't think ever really got the credit he deserved. And just a great overall band anyway. So we're going to miss Dan McCafferty, one of a kind. In fact, for me, nothing against the current incarnation of Nazareth. Nazareth is one of those bands that just you have to have that voice there. There have been other great legendary bands throughout rock history where there have been vocalist changes or whatnot. And, in many cases, I generally am like, okay, it's you get used to it, you go on. For some reason, for me, the band Nazareth, without Dan singing, it's not quite Nazareth. And now he's no longer with us. So, just a quick little tribute to Dan McCafferty, because it's, I'm a big fan of his and the band, and 76. Lived a long life, and I'm sure if you were to ask him wherever he may be now, he would tell you that he enjoyed his life, and he probably has no regrets, and and now he's somewhere else, and hopefully he's no longer suffering. And to all his friends and family, our condolences from all of us fans. Let's all go out and listen to some classic Nazareth today and celebrate the life and music of Dan McCafferty and Nazareth, who leaves us at age 76 here on November 8th, 2022. Thanks for watching, everybody. I am Pete Pardo. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. All together, all the damn time. Dan McCafferty, close enough for rock and roll. He's up there having some hair of the dog. And we love you, Dan. Rest in peace. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.